Okay, I am going to give you a quick demo on saving PDFs in Illustrator. A lot of what I'm showing you applies to InDesign, it applies to Photoshop, but for today we're going to use Illustrator as our guinea pig. You really want to think ahead to what is the end use of this PDF, and what I find is most often I'm either trying to save a very small PDF because I want to email it or post it on a website and I want it to be a small file that doesn't use up a lot of data, or I want to have something printed by a printer, for instance a poster, which is one of the projects that you guys are working on. And so I need to have the optimum maximum quality possible. So the first thing you want to do is, if you want to save a small file, let's imagine this is a poster. This is actually a direct mail piece. It's a 8.5 by about 16-inch tall piece, but let's pretend it's a poster. If I wanted to save a small file, I would go to File, Save As, and I would, let's call this Sample Small, and I'm going to save it as a PDF. Couple things. You want to, first of all, I find high quality print. You can scroll down and select all these different options. High quality print will give you a relatively decent looking file that's big enough to look good but small enough to email. So I'm going to select high quality print. This is super important. You have to check this box off, preserve Illustrator editing capabilities. If you leave that on, you're going to get a huge file, because what it's going to do is it's going to embed all the images in this file. So I'm going to check that off, high quality print, and I'm going to hit Save PDF. I'll let this thing do its thinking for a minute. Now let's go over here and let's look at our PDF. Looks pretty good. Decent resolution. And let's see how big this file is. I'm going to hit Command-I to get info. It is 7.3 megabytes. Too big to email. So I can always go back into Illustrator and I can do a Save As again. And the way I can reduce this file size is by changing the compression. So right now the images in my file are 300 pixels per inch, and I'm going to change those to 150. Most monitors are only 150 pixels per inch, so that should give me a pretty good looking file. And let's see what we get now. Now we have a 2 megabyte file. Okay, good. I could email that to somebody. They wouldn't get all teed off because I'm sending them a huge file. Now let's assume you want to do something different. You want to prepare a file for print. You want somebody else to be able to edit it, maybe do some modifications to it. It needs to look good. Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to make sure that your links, if you have images in your file, you need to make sure that they are embedded. If they're not embedded, that means Illustrator, when it opens it, is going to look for them somewhere else on your computer and try to find them and place them in. So when you click on a link, this little icon over here means it's embedded, and you can actually see right here under the information it says embedded file. If one of these were not embedded, you could actually click the image and you could go up here and say embed. This would actually say the word embed right now. It says on embed. Okay? The other thing is, I need to have bleeds on here if somebody's going to print this poster, because they need to be able to trim this out from a larger sheet. And nobody's perfect. There's going to be a little bit of wiggle room when they cut this. So in order to help that printer out, I'm going to extend these images out. Let me zoom in. And so I'm just giving this a little more room on the sides. Might be a bit hard to see in this recording. I'm going to do this quickly, but you would want to add at least 1/8 of an inch. If you can't add 1/4 inch, I'm just basically pulling the edges of these boxes out so they bleed off the edges and I have a little extra wiggle room. Okay? You see how there's this little extra edge, and I could work with my clipping paths here to get everything looking good. Okay? Now, when I go to save this file, if I want this to look, I put all my bleeds in, my images are embedded, and I want this to look as good as possible. I am going to, first of all, outline my fonts because I don't want somebody else, if they open it, to have to find the font or load a font. So I'm going to hit Command A, which is select all, and I'm going to go to Outline, Create Outlines. It's Shift Command O on a Mac. Okay, so under Type, Create Outlines. And what that does is it makes all my fonts shapes, not actual fonts. Okay, now I'm going to go to Save As, and I'm going to once again save it as a PDF, but I'm going to call it Sample Large because this is a print file. And here I'm now going to select Press Quality. Okay, Press Quality gives you a super crisp high-res file. I'm also going to hit Trim Marks, which are the marks showing where this thing gets chopped or cut by a printer. And I'm going to add bleeds, and so I put an 1/8 inch bleed in this file. I'm going to do all that, and because it's possible that the person that opens this might need to edit it, I am going to leave this box checked. I'm going to hit Save PDF, and it's taking a long time because it's going to give me a huge, huge file. Okay, so let it think, let it think. Let's see how big this file was. This file is 856 megabytes. This file, the small one, is only 2 megabytes. That is a good thing because what that means is every image in here is embedded as a high-res image. Anybody with Illustrator can open this file and edit it and move things around if they need to. And so this is a good format to give somebody if you're sending it to a printer, for example. Okay, so that is a demo on how you do